Hi everybody, welcome. It's nice to see you. So we are here for our conversation on what is the world. I don't know if I've been made co-host. If you could make me co-host so I can see all of the chat, please, that would be great. So yeah, we're here to discuss. Let me just get onto gallery view so I can see everybody's face rather than my own. That's better. So we're here to talk about what is the world. And so right from the outset, I'm going to say, I don't know. I'm going to say my suggestion is that nobody actually knows and that it's not possible to know. And that might sound surprising to some people, like, okay, tune out, go watch telly. And it might seem pretty obvious to other people. And in the last conversation that we had on what is the truth, I said something pretty similar to that the truth cannot be known in the conventional way. And I talked about how any words that purport to speak about the truth are the fingers pointing at the moon. They show the direction. They're not actually talking about truth. And I think it's pretty much the same when we speak about the world. And I thought we would look at a few different fingers pointing at that particular moon. And while I was thinking about all of this, I thought actually we could come up with 3 hypotheses about the world, and then we could look at those and explore them. So, first hypothesis is there is a world out there that's universally perceivable, which means we all see the same thing. The world is simply what it seems to be. That's hypothesis number 1. Hypothesis number 2 is we each perceive a different world according to the filter of our conditioning and beliefs and experiences, that we kind of wear goggles through which we see the world, and so it's different to the world that others see, and that actually maybe there's no way of even knowing that, but we'll think about that. Hypothesis number 3, there's no world, doesn't exist, no world. So as we start to kind of look at these hypotheses, we immediately encounter a problem, because what do we use to consider or examine these hypotheses? With what faculty will we look at this? Can we depend on what we see? Well, we've been wrong about that before, haven't we? There was a time when people thought the world was flat until some Greek guy, whose name I've temporarily blanked on, stuck a stick in the ground on a summer solstice, and he saw that the sun, it was casting a shadow, which meant the sun was not directly up above, which meant that the earth was curving. So that was the first kind of indication of the curvature of the earth, because before that we thought if we go on our wee boats, we'll come to the end and we'll just fall off. So that didn't prove to be correct. What we saw with our eyes did not prove to be correct. The other thing that we thought was that the earth was static and the sun went round us, because it looks like that, doesn't it? It looks as though we're static and the sun is moving from the east to the west. And it was Copernicus, I think, and Galileo who came up with the proof that we live in what's called a heliocentric universe, that it's the earth that goes around the sun, not the other way around. So we can't rely on our eyes to tell us what the world is, because there's 2 examples of how we've been wrong before. And I want to emphasize that again. Why were those things believed? Because that's the way they look. It does look like that, doesn't it? Now, before we go any further, I said there were 3 hypotheses. I think we can immediately discount hypothesis number 3, and that there's no world. So all you need to do is look around your room or look out of the window, just look at something. If you can see outside, great. There's something, isn't there? We maybe don't know exactly what it is, but we know there's something. Even if you're just looking at me on the computer screen, you may think, oh, that's Susan, I know who that is. But it's possible that you don't actually perceive the reality, but you know there's something there. Francis Lucille says that as one of his 2 things about what we can absolutely know. I know that I am is 1, and there is something rather than nothing is 2. So that gets rid of that third hypothesis that there is nothing, because there clearly is something. We're interacting with something. There's perception. We see something. So hopefully everybody can agree on that. So we're left with 2. So I want to look at 2 fingers pointing at the moon, to use that analogy again. Number 1, science. Number 2, spirituality. So let's just take a simple example. So if you look outside, if you're able to look outside and you see a tree, what are we actually seeing? You think, yeah, it's a tree. Everybody knows it's a tree. We all agree it's a tree. But actually, what are we seeing? So the scientific answer is light is bouncing off something. It's being reflected. It enters our eyes and it's converted, the light is converted to electrical signals, and those electrical signals are processed by the brain and they construct an image of a tree. And that is, and incidentally, when that image is projected, it's rendered in at the back of your eyes upside down, which is crazy, isn't it? But the brain sorts it out and puts it right way up. So what I'm trying to paint a picture of is things ain't what they seem. So the brain decodes the image, the upside down image, it puts it the right way up. It then kind of scans everything it knows, all its past associations, and it comes up with image of a tree. And you might say, oh, what a lovely tree. And I go, yeah, isn't it a beautiful tree? Which makes us think there's actually something called a tree out there, because we have what's called intersubjective agreement. We agree that what we're seeing is a tree, but what we cannot know is what you are seeing inside your mind, and you're seeing it inside your mind, not out there, because the image is being rendered in the mind. Is it exactly the same as what I'm seeing? No way to know that. It's similar enough that we both call it a tree. That's all we can know. And our interpretation is based on our past experiences, our past knowledge. There's a story about, I don't even know where it's from. I think it's from American Indians who saw there were boats coming towards them and they didn't see them. Rhona's nodding her head, so I think I'm getting the American Indian part right. The boats were coming towards them, but they didn't see them because they had never seen a boat before. So what was coming towards was giving off the light, as I've just described, but they had no past association of boat. So they actually were completely unable to see it. So this process gives us probably a reasonably reliable representation of a tree, of a world, But it's not the tree itself, it's just the mental construct of the tree that is created by your brain. So whatever the world is, whatever is out there that is being perceived, we really don't know what it is. All we have is the information coming to us via the senses that's being interpreted in accordance with our past experiences and conditioning. So another part of this is often we hear phrases such as "we project a world," which can be misunderstood, I think. And I think it's important to talk about how the something that's there rather than nothing exists independently of your perception. An example that I want to use for this is something that's happening right now. What you perceive at the moment visually and with auditorily, that's not a word, with your ears, is you can see my face in the screen, you can hear my voice. That's your perception. You have no perception that at this moment, the English and Spanish football teams are preparing to play in the final of the Euros, which kicks off at 8 o'clock my time, which is at the end of this meeting. You've no perception of that. That does not mean it does not exist. Those guys are in the dressing room now, or they're warming up and they're getting the team talk of the manager. So it doesn't matter that we don't perceive something. If we say that the world is only my perception, that's what's called solipsism. The world clearly has some independent existence out with your perception. The other part is that we've already spoken a little bit about this, that our perception is subjective. That I perceive the world through my filter of my conditioning and you perceive it through yours. And we have no way of knowing if what we're perceiving is the same. And I think a simple example of that is you can have a number of witnesses to a road traffic accident, for example, and when interviewed by the police, they give different, same incident, but different accounts of what happened. And the last thing to add to the mix of all of that, thinking back to the tree, is that what appears to be a solid object is actually 99.9999999 12 nines 6% empty space. So, if I do a knock on my desk, or my hand doesn't go through, even though it's empty space because of forces, but things are not solid. We think, I put my hand up, we think they're solid, but they're not solid. Things are not what they appear to be. And if things are not appear to be, what's the common word we use for things that are not what they appear to be? They're an illusion. An illusion doesn't mean that they're not there, that they don't exist. It means that they're not what we think they are. They're not what they appear to be. The world appears to be made of separate, individual, self-existing objects that have solidity, and that's not, in fact, the way things are. And quantum mechanics tells us that things are even stranger than that. It tells us that the light that's coming in to our eyes can be perceived as a wave or a particle, and that depends on the observer. It tells us that things can exist in multiple conditions until they're actually observed. The famous example of that is Schrödinger's cat, where until they open up the box, the cat's in the box, but until you open up the box, you don't know if the cat is dead or alive. You don't know that and you're interested, look that up. It also tells us that things are deeply connected across time and space. One example of that is the butterfly effect, which you've probably heard of. But it's all starting to sound kind of like the spirituality that we've all been studying, doesn't it? That things affect each other, that things are not solid, they're not made of matter. In the non-dual spiritual traditions, we're told that everything is made of consciousness. Advaita Vedanta, for example, says that Advaita, incidentally, means not two, that there's not two, or there's not many things, there's only one thing, one consciousness that is the reality of everything. And that everything we see, everything we perceive, everything we think is an illusion, which is called Maya. Reality is seen to be undivided, one totality, without any separation between what is observed, the observer, and the act of observing. Doesn't that sound like what it says in quantum physics? It's called superposition, that things can be in multiple states until they're observed, everything coming together into one thing. Advaita Vedanta says that the essence of the self is the same essence as the world, the universe. It also says that what we perceive through our senses is not real, it's illusion. This I find it absolutely fascinating that the newest scientific discoveries, what's at the cutting edge of scientific discovery, is actually giving another way of understanding teachings that have been around for thousands of years. In the Tao Te Ching, for example, the very first chapter of the Tao Te Ching, I'm just going to read from my little book here, which is Stephen Mitchell's translation, which we studied in the Evolved Book Group a little while ago. It says, "The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The unnameable is the eternally real, the unnameable, that which can't be known, can't be named, that we cannot perceive with these senses. Naming is the origin of all particular things." And isn't that what we do? You know, with little children, we teach them the world, don't we? We say to them, tree, cup, boat, boy, granny. Naming is the origin of all particular things. It's the origin. They don't actually exist in reality. You just give things names. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. Yet mystery and manifestations arise from the same source. This source is called darkness. Darkness within darkness, the gateway to all understanding. All sounds so similar, doesn't it? Doesn't matter where we look. We could look to Buddhism. You know, one of the tenets of Buddhism is shunyata, emptiness. It says that all phenomena, all the particular things are empty of intrinsic existence. and are interdependent. Same. So whatever the world is, it's a web of connections, of causes and effects, of something that is perceivable and not knowable. And also is in a state of flux, is in a state of flow, is constantly changing. Course in Miracles says that the world that we perceive with our senses is an illusion, that it's a construct of the mind. Again, same. It says that our perception of the world is influenced by our thoughts, our beliefs, and our emotions. What we see in the world is a reflection of our inner state, that we're always seeing through these goggles, through the filter of our own conditioning and beliefs, past experiences, traumas. So I've spoken for 20 minutes, non-stop. And are we actually any further forward in knowing what the world is? You know, have you had a big revelation that, that's what it is? No. So, I want to ask you a question. What do you think the world is? What's your experience of the world? Or has any of this made any sense? Or does it just plunge you deeper and deeper into the mystery, into not knowing? Let me see. Kathleen said Archimedes. I think it was that guy. What's his name? He's the same guy, I think, that did the prime number thing. I've got it written down somewhere. His name is I'll not be able to say it properly. Eratosthenes, he was called. Eratosthenes. Yeah. You know, and one of the things too about the belief that the world, that the earth was not the center of the universe and that the sun went round the earth. When you know, Galileo was almost excommunicated from the Catholic Church for believing that. You know, it was thought to be an absolute heresy because of the belief that, you know, God created the earth and it was the central point and everything else just revolved around it. Hi, Mel.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. I was just going to mention when you mentioned that this was be the topic for this gathering. I was just by chance I was reading a book and it kind of spoke to this, and I was wondering if I could just share this little bit.
Oh, please do. Yeah.
It's this by John Wheeler, and I just found this in my library. I don't know if anybody's heard of him. Have you heard of him? Anybody?
I think I have heard of John Wheeler. Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway,
What's the book called?
It's called You Were Never Born, and he wrote it in 2007. I think he lives in California, or if he's still alive, I'm not sure. But anyway, so this says, he goes, all that appears depends on your own presence. Without awareness, what can be? Energetic experiences or anything else have relevance only because you are there to perceive them. You may give these things all the worth, but without you, the universe cannot even appear. So do not imagine you are separate and in need of something. The universe needs you in order to appear. If this sounds far-fetched, consider what the universe would look like if there were no awareness. You are that awareness. We often sell ourselves short and then suffer the pains of separation and limitation. Basically, you are not a poor, limited seeker in need of a fix. Present awareness is the only abiding reality, and you are that.
Mm.
So it's kind of saying the universe is dependent on the consciousness first, and that it appears so, it kind of shifts it from looking out as a separate person to recognizing we are it in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think too that that reading can be misinterpreted as well if you think that the you that he's referring to
Oh,
at the start is the separate self. That's solipsism, and often people say that though, that this is the world only exists that I perceive. It's only the part that I perceive.
correct. Yeah, it really has to be the non-dual understanding.
Yeah, as he said, that that you're not this limited separate thing. You are the awareness, and that actually this whatever this is too is perceived by awareness. It
Correct.
appears in awareness. It's the other way around, isn't it?
Yeah, like the
Remember
body.
Ellen Emmett saying, I am not in my body is in me." That's
Yeah.
saying the same
As
thing,
you say,
isn't
we
it?
all perceive the physical body differently as well. We all, yeah, but it's within us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mel. Thank you. Yeah, I found a poem by Robert Adams, which I'll read, which is kind of on point with this. It's called Maya. So remember, Maya is illusion. Everything that you feel, hear, touch, smell, and taste is Maya. Everything is Maya, the grand illusion. Most of us really do not understand what Maya really is. My trying to explain Maya is Maya. Everything that your eyes behold that you believe is so important is Maya. Everything that you hear, everything that you read, everything that you try to do to better yourself, it's all Maya. The water in the mirage, that is Maya. Something that appears to be real, but upon investigation you find it's not. The whole world is like that. The whole universe is like that. Do not be fooled again. Do not take anything seriously. Turn within. Do not react. The turmoil, the chaos that appears to be in this world is not the truth. It is not reality. It is something that comes and goes. This too shall pass. But your center is God, consciousness, absolute reality, Brahman. Those are all synonymous. That is the peace that exists. And that's really the point of all this talk of quantum physics and different spiritual paths is, not to learn something or to have even more stuff to think about, but to really begin to see that what we think is outside, what appears to be a pretty solid known world, is anything but that. There's lots of doubt about that. But what is there not doubt about? To turn within to what does not come and go, to that which is the ground of everything. That is the finger that's pointing to the moon. That's what's being pointed to. That what is it that is real? And to what extent have we just taken on without even questioning that the world is real, or what the world is an illusion actually means. So, Karen, thank you for putting your hand up. I was thinking I've got half an hour to go and I've got nothing more to
Hi,
talk to.
Susan. Hi, Susan. Hi, everyone. Um, yeah, when you were talking about the a small child and how we show the child this is a tree and this is whatever, and then they in the future label once they've remembered the word, they label it that. Well, I had many years ago a roommate who was completely, totally blind. They discovered before she was a year old that she had cancer in both eyes. The eyes themselves were removed, so she was totally blind. Um, Now, this is unusual, but maybe under the circumstances, it makes sense. And she's probably heard the story too. She says just before she went to for the operation to have her eyes removed, her dad had taken her outside and said, "This is the sky," pointing to the sky. "This is a tree," pointing to a tree. And most of us don't remember anything that happened to us usually at a year old. But I'm wondering because suddenly she lost sight, that this would have been something that she does remember. And at the time, I just thought, wow, that's really fascinating. And she can still, remember that. But I didn't think, and it wasn't until now when you were talking, Susan, I thought, when she said, yes, I can picture the sky, I can picture trees. But for the first time today, I'm thinking, I wonder what she's really picturing, because even because it's something she saw so many years ago, and our minds seem to either forget things or they change the perception, and so it's just all of a sudden, for the first time, I thought, I wonder in her mind what it looks like, and so I just thank you for you know talking the way you did, telling us, about the example of children learning and that, because it just triggered me to, in a good way, to remember something. So
Thanks for
that's
sharing.
about all. I don't know if there's any further discussion on this or not, but I just
I
wanted
think,
to be.
as I said, I think that's the case for all of us. That we don't, I often think that about colour. I can hold something up and we can agree it's red. Yeah. We know it's red.
Yeah, it looks
But
red
it
to
but
me.
but we don't know if we're seeing exactly the same.
Mm,
We just don't know.
yeah, and even people that, like, sometimes I will think something is, or maybe like a dark blue and a black. And my husband will say, no, that's not black, that's dark blue. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, it looks black to me.
Yeah. There was a famous thing a wee while ago, remember, about a dress. Do you remember that? It was like the dress. Some people said the dress was blue and white, and other people said it was peach and something else. Yeah. Do you remember that? It was quite famous at the time. Yeah. Thank you, Karen.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for what you're doing.
Kathleen said, everything we see is phenomenal, not real because it comes and goes. Yeah. Kendall said, it has to be forever elusive by its true nature, otherwise, flow would be impossible or contracted. Like Van Morrison said, into the mystic. Mary Beth, hello.
Hi.
Hi,
Um,
Beth.
I'm just really contemplating, what is the world? What is the world? And I love everything you said at the beginning. Well, everything. I made notes on a few things, and they all spoke. It's like it's what I believe in the truth. I'll just read some of my notes there. There's something there. It's not nothing. May not perceive the reality, but there is something. And I'm like, and I totally understood. That's how I feel I see the world now. Whereas, then I also wrote, I was thinking, well, the world, it's the place to learn, the earth school, where I get to choice, or where soul or spirit, God experiences itself. And it gives me these opportunities to remember, to come back to who I really am. And that's what I believe now. But when I talk about, that's what I'm experiencing now. When I say those words, I don't feel those words like I do when I consider intersubjective agreement and reasonably reliable perception. Things are not what they appear to be. It's an illusion. An illusion means it's not real, not that it's not there. And to me, that makes so much more sense at a deeper level. And I can really feel that in my inner being, myself with the capital S, as opposed to saying, well, it's an earth school and it's where I get to make choices and do this. So it's really, and what peace it brings too, just not to take it I think you use that. Don't take anything so seriously. Don't take it so personally. Everyone's experience of the world is different. Um, Depending on, it's a reflection of my inner state of being type of thing. And I think I go through so many of my days, so much of my days with that peaceful acceptance, that whatever, that place where I see the world no matter what's going on, and I can feel the love for it. The Course would say, is extending forgiveness, accepting the atonement, a miracle. I do that so often, it's hard for me to step back and even remember when I really felt like all that stuff was real and unchangeable. And another thing that really comes to mind with when that happened, I don't know, this whole awakening process for many truly begins, and with me, with a self-reflection, really looking at myself and looking at my beliefs and how I saw things. And I remember when I really started this journey, the shift, the change in perception of the first 44 years of my life. It's like I totally rewrote my life story when I opened up to a new perspective. And that can be done in each moment. So difficult topic to put words around. So I hope somebody understood something. Thanks.
No, I understood exactly what you said. Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you. Yeah. Lynn, please. Hello, Lynn. I've not seen you for ages. Hi.
Hi, so wonderful to see you. I love you.
Oh, it's wonderful to see you. You look absolutely gorgeous.
No more roots.
Oh, so good
It's
to see
wonderful
you.
to be here. To me, the world is a bunch of collective consciousness. That's what I think. Yeah. And what I like about this time is that our consciousness is growing, the light's growing. And but there are parts that are growing there. And someone had said, like, it's like we're traveling on parallel trains and we can see each other, but they're gonna veer off. Who knows? The world is a mystery. We don't know, but it is all us together. That's yeah. That's what I think.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's a mystery. I think that, that's where we land over and over and over again, I think. Alka said, my son is colourblind, so I don't know how he sees the world. Hi, Rona.
Hello, Susan.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
How lovely to see you.
Lovely to be seen and lovely to see you. And, I've kind of been at a loss of words for a few moments here, didn't want to start to share before I could wrap the words around it, kind of like what Mary Beth was pointing to. What I've come up with, I love the thought, that there's something out there, right? And then the word world immediately becomes a label, So I want to label that. And what is it? The world is. I've been looking at it sort of like a series of snapshots whenever awareness arises, and I take that moment and just kind of sink into just everything, sight, smell, sounds. It just is. But at the same time, there's this beautiful, changeable nature to it. So whether the mind's misperception of what is seen is good or bad, it's gonna change really fast. And so when it comes to the world, can I use the world for my healing? Where am I getting poked by the world? And then am I willing not to cling or grasp or try to push away what is happening in the world? So I'm kind of getting that, the school thing Mary Beth said, it's like a chalkboard opportunity. It's like, whoosh, okay, this is it. And I guess there's a huge level of acceptance where whatever is arising is arising. And the idea that projecting, this is just what's coming today, is projecting doesn't mean it's being pushed out there from here. There's a lot going on with perception and misperception. So as I fix myself in a moment of the world, isn't it really just coming at me? It's not that I'm throwing this stuff out there. And so you really help me with that misperception of what projecting the world has meant in this thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So that was very fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you. I think one of the clearest explanations of all of that is from Michael Singer in both The Untethered Soul and Living Untethered, where he says, it took 8 billion years for things to be exactly as they are in this moment, and it's not personal. And some things can come at us, as you say, and they just go right through. The heart stays open is how he puts it. But if something comes at us and it hits our conditioning, and that should word comes, this should not be happening, then heart closes. We have this resistance. We say, no, it's personal. Because otherwise it's a flow. It's a flow of life happening with no personal attachment or reaction.
Perfect.
Thank
you, my friend.
Karen, please.
Hi again.
Hello.
I was just thinking of something, and then I liked how Rona was talking about perception, because I was thinking of ways we perceive things differently. I can, for an example, I can look at a piece of art, whether it's considered a great piece of art or something that my friend drew, which could be a great piece of art too, and seem to see it differently than others. Seem to like in some cases, I might get a great emotional response from the piece of art. In other cases, it does nothing, and especially I don't think I have a great appreciation of some very, and I don't like to use the term modern art because I know modern art started hundreds of years ago. But there's some art I don't get, but I know others do. And I think they are either perceiving it, or if we can use the word, seeing it differently than me, because I'll um, I'll look at it and I think, I don't get it. And I realize that others must get it. Others, have a great reaction, perhaps an emotional reaction to it. It's hung in the art gallery. And I'm not saying just because it's hung in the art gallery that it's great, but there are many, many people in this type of case, I believe, that have a strong attachment to it. And I'm thinking, for some reason, with my brain, I'm not getting the same attachment. I don't perhaps see it the same. I don't understand it. Maybe I'm clinging, like in some cases, I'm just trying to think of some art. I've looked at some art that to me just looks like squares that the artist has drawn or painted. And I'm thinking, I'm not good in art, but I used to think. I'm not now, but no, I'm not saying this properly. um, I used to think, oh, I could do that piece myself. It's just squares. Anybody could do that. But now I I have a much more open mind, and I look at it and I think, gee, I wish I could get it, but I don't. And that's fine, because then I can go on and enjoy what I enjoy and what I perhaps understand or can feel from the artist. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, and I think you've made some great points, Karen. Like you, I've often thought, for example, in the Tate Modern in London, there's a pile of bricks. Some guy just just put bricks like your house, that exactly like that, those brown bricks, piled them up, and it was sold for millions.
Yeah.
It was like Tracy Emin's unmade bed. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It's just a bed. It's an actual bed. It's got loads of yucky stuff on it. Again,
Yeah.
when I went on a trip to New York, I went to the Met and saw these huge Jackson Pollocks where he'd seemingly got some paint and gone over them on his bike. And I thought, why didn't I have that idea? So
Yeah.
like you, I don't appreciate it clearly. Um,
Yeah.
but the point that you kind of ended with about what we enjoy, that's that's another thing that Francis Lucille says. Life is a celebration, that the purpose of life is happiness. So if we enjoy something, then that's what we go toward, just for the enjoyment of it.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah,
Thank you.
I'm with you on the modern art though, I have to say. Indigo, please.
Hi everyone. So great
Hi,
to be here.
Indigo. Hi.
Um, it's been so amazing. So I've had diarrhea, which honestly has been the best thing that ever happened, because it got me to just stop. And it got me to yeah, just to start, oh yeah, just to start to ask God what to do. And then I got this direction um, to go within, and so I see a chiropractor um, every day, 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and I wasn't doing what he was telling me to do, and I didn't. I don't know. In my mind, I thought it was okay. I don't know. And today, in the last couple of days, I got the direction. I need to be listening to what I'm being guided and what to do, and to follow it. And so now I'm stopping and I'm slowing down. And now I'm listening to what I'm being guided to. And now I'm starting to see this love that is all around me and that is here for me.
Yeah.
And so it's just so amazing to just to slow down and to go within. And so yeah, so thank you so much. I love being here, and thank you.
Thank you, Indigo. Thank you. Chuck, please.
Yeah, actually, I'm speaking more on seeking some information because you triggered a memory that I have, but I don't have a very clear one, and I'm hoping somebody in here does about. I remember Regina Dawn Akers talking something about how quickly things coming and how quickly everything changes and how much information was coming. Do you have any recollection of what I'm talking about or what she might have said around that? It was about how quickly the world was changing and how fast, how much information was coming into her or something. Does that resonate with anybody?
I don't remember the specific thing, Chuck. I don't know
Okay,
if anyone
thanks.
else does. Lynn, please.
Thank you, everyone, for sharing. I related to Indigo. My world used to be so different. I used to be all around doing things. It's just so different now. This isn't my world anymore out there. It's all in here, and yeah. I have a little poem.
Oh, I've not heard a poem from you for ages. Please go ahead.
I call it Ram, as in Ram Dass.
That's your disembodied boyfriend, I remember.
Exactly, you remember. Observe the world we have known, of pause in human frailty, echoes of fear, now welcome clues to devotion in what is. Trust distortions, hidden truth. Remember all is God in drag. I stole that from him too.
Love that. Thanks. Thank you, Lynn. Mel, please.
Hi, Chuck reminded me too, of Regina Von Akers' different 4 principles of God.
Yeah.
And she goes through, the fourth principle, I guess, where she goes to the whole dictionary virtually and picks out every letter. This is an illusion. This is not real. This is not real. This is not real. And, she really takes you through the different, it's not until you get to the third or fourth, ultimately the first principle, I guess, where you get to the absolute, which is the only real there is, right? The is only is, just is. Yeah. So
Yeah. And then quantum mechanics terms, the field of infinite potentiality, where everything is unmanifest, but everything exists in unmanifest form.
So cool.
Yeah, very cool. But again, all fingers pointing at the moon, just all models of reality. So we've only got a few minutes left, so I want to read you 3 poems for you to contemplate. They're not mine. I can see Lynn going, oh yeah. First one is Rumi. So maybe close your eyes to listen to these and just see what comes, if anything. This world is like a tree, and we are the half-ripe fruit upon it. Unripe fruit clings tight to the branch because immature, it's unfit for the palace. When fruit becomes ripe, sweet, and juicy, then biting the ground, they are glad to fall. Whoever heard of a ripe fruit refusing to fall down from the tree to the pleasant ground? Would you become a ripe soul and perfect? Seek to incline your heart to the ground and be humble. The second one is from Hafiz. I have learned so much from God that I can no longer call myself a Christian, a Hindu, a Muslim, a Buddhist, a Jew. The truth has shared so much of itself with me that I can no longer call myself a man, a woman, an angel, or even a pure soul. Love has befriended Hafiz so completely, it has turned to ash and freed me of every concept and image my mind has ever known. And finally, from Fred Lamotte, the world is a mirror reflecting the depths of your own heart. See the beauty in every face and the light in every eye. The divine is not far off, but dwells within each breath. Embrace the dance of life and know that you are part of the whole.
Wow.
So thank you so much, everybody. If I'd leave you with anything, it is that, as Hafiz said, that you are freed of every concept and image that your mind has ever known, and that you just dance in the mystery. Thank you, thank you, thank you.